Megan Noon.
And I'm Janine Harrington of Tick With Us.
In a world with so much negative, we're here to bring you positive, inspiring, and uplifting stories that will help you help the world. We want to know what makes you tick.
We're going to hear stories from people who've overcome extreme hardship and also people who are sharing motivating, uplifting stories to keep you going through the day.
There are days when you may not want to get out of bed. You just want to throw the covers back over your head and wish the world would go away. You know what? We're here to give you a little slice of hope, happiness, and love, because you are going to hear some compelling stories from people who have overcome HIV, AIDS, malaria. You'll hear from homeless people. You'll hear from professional athletes. You will hear from actors and actresses, well-known people, and some unknown people, but we will bring you the best stories to help you make you a better you.
Stories to help you strive to keep your focus alive. Tune in to Tick With Us. We're here in Hollywood to bring you some juicy news.
We are here to interview a man from the streets named Joe, who's going to share with us a little bit exactly about what makes him tick. So we are here with Joe. Joe is a gentleman that I found sitting on the streets of Hollywood, and I was compelled to ask him, why is he homeless? So Joe is here to share with us a little bit about his experience and also about what makes him tick. So Joe, tell us about why you're homeless and why you're on the streets of LA.
Well, I became homeless a few weeks ago, around a month now. I basically was working in Hollywood and gave up my job to try to be a professional poker player, and that didn't go so well. And so now I'm living on the streets. I can't go home, live with my folks because I stole some money from my parents, and so there's just some bad blood there, and so now I'm on the streets.
Wow, that's an interesting story. So we're interested to find out what keeps you going, what keeps you motivated to keep going day to day, and what makes you tick.
I guess what makes me tick is trying to get, back to the good graces of my family. And I don't know, I'm not ready to give up on poker yet, so yeah. But it just kills me that that I have folks that live in the area and I can't. My family doesn't want me there, and so that's my main motivation, is to get back in their good graces and show them that I can do it without, crying to them every time I, have a road bump. So.
Right. Are there days when you feel like you might want to just give up? And if so, is there anything that you do or think to help you or to motivate you or to inspire you to just make it through another day? Because it's just like this, you inspire me because you're here and you're living on the streets, and I know how difficult that must be.
Well, I mean, when I first started this venture of living on the streets, I thought it was kind of fun thing. I didn't really think of it as, living on the streets. I thought it was, let me just see how this is, I thought it might be cool to check out, There were friends I could stay with, but I didn't, and they still don't really know that I'm homeless, so I'm, maybe I could stay with people, but I don't really, I'm too prideful, I guess.
Right.
But it's definitely not the people of this city that keep me going, that's for sure. But the visitors are nice, and yeah.
Gotta love the tourists.
Yeah. Without them, the city would be. But yeah.
So have you apologized to your parents yet?
Yes, I have. Actually, I spent like $218 on Easter in flowers that I sent to my mom.
Aww.
Yeah.
He's trying.
Yeah.
If your mom and dad were watching right now, what is the message that you want to say to them or any other person, that you may have wronged?
Just that I'm sorry, and I was consumed by a lot of things when I was, greed and gambling, and I don't know, it was too much for me. I was in over my head, and that I love you guys, and you can trust me, and I'll do you right.
Oh, you guys have heard it straight from the mouth of Joe. Let him back into your lives.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We are really, really grateful that you took the time to speak with us.
Yes.
And we'll see you next time here on Tick With Us.
Hey guys, we're here at the Ritz-Carlton in Marina Del Rey. It's a happening day. I'm Janine here with Tick With Us. We're ready to interview Roberto Lavilla. He's from Isla how do you say it?
Isla Mujeres, Mexico.
All right, so we have Roberto here.
Hi, Roberto. Thank you so much for joining us today on Tick With Us. And we know that you are a 2-time cancer survivor. And we would love for you to share a little bit about your experience with how being diagnosed with cancer and only giving 6 weeks to live has molded you into the person you are today.
Wow.
That's a long question, huh?
I don't know if I can respond to that quickly. Let me kind of start by, well, the first time that happened, I was 18 years old. I was living on the island. I had I woke up one morning, I felt kind of like an apple in my stomach. And long story short, ended up doing a test. They told me I had cancer, and then I went to Moffitt Center, which is in Tampa, Florida. And coincidentally, it was the son of Albert Einstein. He's an oncologist who diagnosed me. And they told me basically, listen, you have to do A, B, and C. If you don't do the chemotherapy, high dose, get inside the hospital, you have maybe 6 to 8 weeks to live.
Oh wow.
And then it's a lot to to swallow when you're 18 years old.
Right, that must have been devastating.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was tough. So my mother and father were there, and the nurse comes in, and I don't know if you've ever been around somebody who's had cancer or about to do chemo. They start talking to you about the collateral effects of chemotherapy. So they'll say, well, it's a 5% chance that you're going to be blind, a 10% chance you'll have to take out your kidneys, a 20% chance that you'll have permanent numbness in your fingers, all depending on the type of chemotherapy you do. So I went through the whole thing, and I couldn't believe that was the only way. There's no way that this is the only thing there is. And so the doctor came back in, which you would think from his family lineage, he's the right guy to say what's going to happen.
Right.
And I looked at him and I said, I'm not going to do this, and I'm going to go a different route. There's got to be a different way.
Wow, and at that point, had you done any research or anything?
Zero research.
So you had no clue, you were just going blind.
My total gut feeling, and I knew that was not what I was going to do.
Was your family there with you when you were diagnosed?
Both the mother and the father. Yeah.
And what were their thoughts?
They said, whatever you decide to do, we'll support you.
Wow.
So I told him no.
Yeah.
And at that moment, he said, "You're signing your death wish." He said, "You will not make it." And then I obviously said something kind of negative toward him, and I said, "That's it," and I left. So I started realizing that synchronicity and things that people you meet, would you would call them angels, or what do you want to call them, people who change the course of your destiny, started within 24 hours of that day.
Wow.
You told the universe, you made the statement that you were going to find
that
another way to
there's a different
heal.
way.
You manifested all kinds of inputs.
I don't know if I want manifested, but
At
it
least,
came to me
yeah,
one way or another.
the door's open for people,
Yeah.
the right people.
So the next day, I went to an ozone conference. I don't know if you've ever heard.
The ozone?
What they do is some of the older folks, they use ozone to try to get longevity, arthritis, etc. So at the end of the conference, I went to see if there's an alternative, because they say fix cancer or not fix it, or prevent cancer with ozone. So I went to the end of the conference and sat down with the guy, and they said, listen, I have cancer. They told me I had 8 weeks to live, 6 to 8 weeks. And is there anything we can do, that I can do that can make this better? He goes, he looks at me and says, okay, give me your phone number. You can't call him, he will call you.
Wow.
So that's kind of how it all started. And then the next day, a gentleman calls my phone, and he says, okay, I explained all the details. And he says, well, come to Bethesda, just outside of Washington, D.C.
Bethesda, Maryland?
Yes.
Yeah.
And maybe at this Holiday Inn.
Okay.
And I couldn't leave my parents. First of all, they're completely supportive. Some guy who don't know who he is, don't know any of his background. You're risking your life on somebody who's just calling you out of the blue. So
Talk about some faith.
Faith. I know, right?
yeah, you have to have a lot of faith. So the next day, I traveled to Bethesda, and the following morning, I get a knock on the door, and I'm there with my father, and the guy opens the door up, and he has this it's like this Albert Einstein look. His hair is all punched up. He's from Austrian, and his name is I don't know if I should say his name actually. So he comes in with two silver briefcases.
At this point, were you freaking out? Were you like, what did I sign up for?
I don't know. I was very calm.
Okay.
He comes in, he lays me down, he starts opening up these things, and he starts starting a machine, which is an ozone machine, but it's a very high quality. It's pharmaceutical grade, or however you want to call it. So he starts filling up these vials, these 200cc vials of gas. So, and he gets a butterfly and he puts it into your vein. And he starts, first thing you're thinking, oh God, everybody's always told you put air into you know when you always hear put air into the thing, you get a heart attack.
Right, yeah.
So forget that. He injected literally these 200cc vials into my bloodstream for 7 days straight.
Of basically air, some kind of gas.
It's gas, ozone.
Wow.
And
How did you feel like the first 24 hours? Did you feel different?
Well, no, there's no side effects like you would have from chemo or anything like that. It's hard to put it into a few words of what happens.
Did it feel different? Like
during the therapy, you get a shortness of breath because there's all these kind of certain side effects, but there's no permanent side effects that you feel bad. But 2 weeks after the fact, my tumor markers dropped by 60 or 70%.
Wow.
And he then introduced me to another guy named, which also I can't mention, that was kind of a person who guided me along the path in my life. And I met him, which is, I told you about, he had his birthday yesterday here in LA.
yes.
And I spent about 10 days with him talking about life. And that was the changing in my life. From that day forth, everything became magical. Everything just rolled to me. It's kind of it's hard to
I
explain
have
it.
chills right now.
It was an amazing thing.
It's
So,
very courageous that you would take that step and
I
go
appreciate
your
that.
own
I
path.
feel honored, but
It
no,
really is.
at the time it was easy. Not that it was easy. I mean, it was emotionally really difficult,
Yeah.
but I felt some sort of undercurrent support. It was always there.
Hey, Robbie, is there anything that you want to share with other people that are struggling with cancer right now?
That no matter what anybody else says, whoever that may be, that at the end of the day, your destiny is in your own hands. That you don't accept what they think is going to happen to you, but what's inside your heart. So don't let that change your course of action. Make sure you know that you can survive no matter all the obstacles that come towards you, that you are the creator of your destiny, and don't accept anything else.
Robbie, thank you so much for coming out and sharing with us your story. We're so grateful and we're really inspired by your entire journey.
It's amazing story that you've shared with us today. Thank you so much, and it is just great information for anybody out there. Please just follow your heart and do what you think is right, and don't lose faith.
See you next time on Tick With Us.
Thanks, guys. This is Janine and Meg for Tick With Us. Join us each week as we bring you lots of stories from people who've overcome extreme hardships, and also just motivating stories from people who've had all kinds of successes.
You will hear from people in the streets of Los Angeles who are homeless. You will hear from children in Kenya struggling with HIV, AIDS, and malaria. You will hear about professional athletes who have overcome major adversity to get to where they are today. And all of these stories, we hope, will bring you a little slice of happiness, joy, and hope. Because in a world with so much negative, we really need this. Spread a little love and sunshine.
We're bringing you some good news to help you strive to keep your focus alive.
Remember to tune in every week